Some more bad news from Europe this week. A recent survey tells us Irishmen are the most unhygienic in Europe. We here at Checkup are not quite sure that's true, so we've decided to take a stroll around Temple Bar to find out what the public think. Irishmen are the most unhygienic in Europe. Do you agree with that?
I think I can. I was hanging out with a few at the bar recently, and I mean, they kind of smelled a little bit.
Would you agree with that?
I would, yeah.
Have you had experience of dirty Irishmen?
I haven't, but just from like Temple Bar.
Just from the smell around Temple Bar? So you believe Irishmen should be showering more often?
Yeah, I do.
It really depends on the person, on the self-control of themselves and how they respect people and respect themselves. That's how really hygiene really starts off.
To be honest, I don't really know much about Irish hygiene, to be honest, among males.
Not at all. I've enjoyed my experience here.
Totally not.
Totally not?
Absolutely.
No, definitely.
No, definitely not.
Turkish men, they're all over girls. Imagine him.
Turkish men? Yeah. And you're speaking from experience?
I'd have to say, out of a couple of boyfriends somewhere and so keen to be like, maybe didn't find showering a necessity as an everyday occurrence, but one did definitely.
So there you go, folks. That's the view in Temple Bar on whether Irishmen are really dirty or not. Thank you, Darragh. And this week's word is defenestration. Now, believe it or not, defenestration has appeared in many a great movie. Hitchcock's Rear Window, Braveheart and Batman Returns. It has also appeared in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Simpsons has a song named after it and is the reason you wear a seatbelt when you get into a car. But what does it all mean? Well, it's derived from Latin, de meaning from, fenestra meaning window or opening, and it's defined as the act of throwing something or somebody, probably somebody you don't like, out an open or closed window. Thankfully it has yet to catch on here in Ireland, apart from the wearing of seatbelts, which was as a result of a 1942 paper by safety pioneer Hugh de Haven, Mechanical Analysis of Survival in Falls of between 50 and 150 feet. So that, Darragh, is defenestration. Thanks to Breda in Wexford for this week's suggestion. There'll be more from the wonderful world of words next week, and I'll see you then. In this week's primetime, we focus on an illness that affects 1 in 10 Irish adults, and yet for many years we shrouded in silence. In the past, depression was an unusable word here in Ireland, and diagnosis often meant hospitalisation. But today, treatment is based on individual needs and comes in many varieties. In part 2 of the show, we'll be in Galway to hear 2 stories of not just survival, but full recovery. But we start in Dublin, where last week I sat down with therapist Peter Fleming to talk about an approach he believes offers sufferers lasting relief. Welcome back to the show. Now, you may think, thanks to Thierry Henry's infamous handball in Paris, that this summer this country will be bereft of World Cup action. But that is simply not the case. The Emerald Warriors, Ireland's first gay rugby team, will be taking part in the Bingham Cup, which is the Gay World Rugby Cup in Minnesota in June. And I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by Mr. Barry Joyce, the chairman of the Emerald Warriors, to tell us all about their forthcoming adventure. So you're very welcome to the show, Barry, and we'll start with your forthcoming adventure. How are the plans going for Minnesota in June?
Very well, actually. We're just finishing up the league matches, and we'll be doing all hands on deck after that, actually, for June.
It's not your first attempt at the World Cup. I know you were in New York in 2006 as well.
We were, and we were in London previous to that. So it's we're going up in standard every year, or every 2 years that we go. So we'll be in the first league this year.
Okay, that's great. And I know you had a real personal interest in bringing the Bingham World Cup here in 2008 because you felt that you needed to do something to raise the profile of gay sports players. Did you feel that you got what you wanted out of bringing that tournament here?
Well, I mean, our mandate really is that it's sports first and your sexuality a very poor second. So we wanted to provide an opportunity or facility for players to come and play a sport like anyone else, and to be able to do so without any fear of reprisal or of being ostracised.
Okay, and do you think you got some of that out of it? I mean, obviously we've had a recent revelation in the GA circles. Do you think that had some effect on that? Hugely.
I think people have seen that there's nothing to fear, really. They're still very, very brave for any professional player to come out and express their sexuality, but I think that people have moved on. Yeah, it's not important anymore.
Yeah, well, it's a modern society. So listen, Barry, thank you very much for your time. I wish you every success in Minnesota.
Thank you.
I know you had a great time in 2008. I know you'll represent us to the very highest standards. So the very best of luck.
Thank you very much, Dan.
So that was Mr. Barry Joyce telling us all about the Bingham Cup, which takes place in June in Minnesota. For further details, do check out the website www.binghamcup.com. Now, don't go anywhere. There's plenty more to come in the second part of the show. See you in a couple of minutes.